Ethan stood tall, overlooking the bustling city from his office window. He was the CEO of a successful tech company, a self-made man who had climbed the corporate ladder with unwavering determination. He had everything he thought he ever wanted, a luxurious apartment, fancy cars, and the respect of his peers. Yet, a quiet loneliness lingered in his heart. Ethan rarely spoke about his childhood. Growing up, he felt different. On his left wrist, a distinct birthmark shaped like a small crescent moon marked him. Kids teased him relentlessly, calling him Moon Boy. He learned to hide it, wearing long sleeves even in the summer heat. Despite his success, the memory of those taunts remained. He often felt like an outsider, even in a room full of people. He yearned for a connection, a sense of belonging that seemed perpetually out of reach. Little did he know that connection was about to walk through his office doors. The upcoming charity event was a company tradition, but this year it would change his life forever. The birthmark wasn't just a cosmetic flaw to Ethan, it was a constant reminder of his vulnerability. He remembered the sting of the schoolyard taunts, the burning shame he felt when he had to explain it to new people. He had tried creams and even considered surgery as a young adult, but nothing could erase the mark. Eventually, he resigned himself to hiding it, making long-sleeved shirts his uniform. He built his career on logic and hard work, believing that success would somehow fill the void left by his childhood insecurities. He poured himself into his company, creating innovative software and building a team of talented individuals. He became known for his sharp mind and his unwavering focus. But inside, the little boy who was called Moon Boy still felt the sting of loneliness. He longed for someone to see past his success, to understand the sensitive soul beneath the polished exterior. He craved acceptance, not for his accomplishments, but for who he truly was, birthmark and all. He didn't know that the answer to his longing was just around the corner. The annual charity event was always a grand affair. Ethan's company partnered with several local organizations dedicated to helping children in need. This year, the focus was on supporting a local orphanage that had fallen on hard times. The event was held in the company's spacious headquarters, transformed for the evening with colorful decorations, games, and a buffet overflowing with treats. Ethan usually made an appearance, gave a short speech, and then retreated to his office, feeling awkward and out of place amongst the cheerful crowd. He preferred the quiet solitude of his work to the forced smiles and small talk. But this year, Sarah, his ever-persistent assistant, convinced him to stay longer and interact with the children. "It's important, Ethan," she had said. "These kids need to see that you care." Reluctantly, he agreed, knowing that Sarah was right. He owed it to the children and to himself to try and connect. He just hoped he could get through the evening without feeling too uncomfortable. He took a deep breath and headed towards the main hall, ready to face the music, or rather, the laughter and chatter of children. The main hall was a whirlwind of activity. Children were laughing, playing games, and lining up for face painting. The air buzzed with excitement. Ethan, feeling slightly overwhelmed, stood near the entrance, observing the scene. He watched a group of kids trying to dunk a volunteer in a water tank, their faces alight with glee. He started to relax a little, the genuine joy in the room proving contagious. He even managed a small smile as he watched Sarah expertly navigate the crowd, chatting with the children and helping them with the games. Then his eyes landed on her. A small girl, no older than 7, stood alone near the dessert table, her eyes wide with wonder as she gazed at the colorful cupcakes. She wore a simple dress and her hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail. As she reached for a cupcake, her sleeve slid up, revealing her left wrist. And there it was, clear as day, a crescent moon birthmark, identical to his own. Ethan froze, his heart skipping a beat. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. It was like looking in a mirror reflecting his deepest insecurities and his hidden longing for connection. The world around him seemed to fade away, and all he could see was the little girl with the moon on her wrist. He had to know more. He cautiously approached the girl, his heart pounding in his chest. "Hello," he said softly, trying to keep his voice steady. The little girl looked up, her eyes wide and innocent. "Hi," she replied shyly, clutching a cupcake in her small hand. "My name is Ethan," he said, extending his hand. "What's yours?" "Lily," she whispered, hesitantly shaking his hand. Her hand was so small, so delicate. Ethan felt an overwhelming urge to protect her. He glanced at her wrist again, confirming what he already knew. The birthmark was undeniably there, a perfect match to his own. It was an impossible coincidence, a twist of fate that he couldn't comprehend. "That's a very pretty cupcake," he said, trying to break the silence. "What kind is it?" "Chocolate," Lily replied, her eyes lighting up. "With sprinkles?" Ethan smiled. "Sprinkles are the best," he agreed. He felt an unexplainable connection to this little girl, a sense of kinship that transcended logic. He knew in that moment that his life was about to change forever. He had to find out everything about Lily, about her past, about how she came to have the same mark as him. He spent the rest of the evening with Lily, forgetting all about his usual anxieties and social awkwardness. He learned that she loved drawing, especially pictures of animals, and that her favorite color was blue. He discovered that she was an orphan and had been living at the local orphanage since she was a baby. A wave of sadness washed over him as he imagined her life without a family, without a home. He asked her about her birthmark, trying to be casual. "Do you know how you got that pretty mark on your wrist?" Lily shrugged. "The ladies at the orphanage said I was born with it," she replied. "They said it makes me special." Ethan's heart ached. Special indeed. He wondered if the ladies at the orphanage had any idea just how special Lily truly was. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a coincidence. The connection he felt to Lily was too strong, too profound. He knew he had to help her, to give her the life she deserved. He had to find out the truth about her past, even if it meant uncovering secrets he wasn't prepared for. The mystery of the matching birthmarks pulled him in, promising a resolution to a problem he never knew he had. The following week, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Lily. He visited the orphanage, bringing a box of art supplies and a stack of her favorite animal books. He spent hours with her, drawing pictures and reading stories. He was amazed by her resilience, her ability to find joy in the simplest things despite her difficult circumstances. She was a bright and curious child, eager to learn and explore. Her laughter was infectious, and her smile could light up a room. He found himself looking forward to their visits, craving her company. He realized that Lily wasn't just someone he felt connected to, she was someone he genuinely cared about. He watched her interact with the other children at the orphanage, always kind and compassionate. She helped the younger ones with their homework, shared her toys, and offered a comforting word to those who were feeling sad. Despite her own lack of a family, she had an innate ability to nurture and care for others. Ethan was deeply moved by her spirit. He felt a growing sense of responsibility towards her, a desire to provide her with the love and stability she deserved. The sweet, resilient girl had wormed her way into his heart. Their time together became a cherished ritual. Ethan would clear his schedule, making sure he had several hours each week dedicated solely to Lily. They would build elaborate Lego castles, play board games until they dissolved into fits of laughter, and read stories about brave knights and magical creatures. He even started learning how to braid her hair, albeit with limited success, much to Lily's amusement. He discovered that Lily had a vivid imagination and a knack for storytelling. She would often create her own fantastical tales, filling them with talking animals, enchanted forests, and daring adventures. Ethan was captivated by her creativity and encouraged her to write down her stories, promising to help her turn them into a real book someday. He also made sure to take her on outings, showing her the city from his perspective. They visited the zoo, the aquarium, and the Museum of Natural History. He wanted to expose her to as much as possible to broaden her horizons and spark her curiosity. With each passing day, their bond grew stronger, deeper. He was no longer just a visitor, he was becoming a part of her life, a friend, a confidant, and something akin to a father figure. He started to feel like a person again, shedding the layers of loneliness that had clung to him for so long. One afternoon, while working late, Ethan found himself unable to concentrate. The image of Lily's birthmark kept flashing in his mind. He knew he couldn't keep this to himself any longer. He needed to talk to someone he trusted. He buzzed Sarah's office, asking her to come in. Sarah had been Ethan's assistant for years, and over time, their relationship had evolved into a close friendship. She was intelligent, empathetic, and fiercely loyal. She had seen him through countless challenges and celebrated his successes with genuine enthusiasm. He knew he could confide in her without fear of judgment. When Sarah entered his office, she immediately sensed something was different. Ethan looked troubled, his usual composed demeanor replaced with a visible unease. "What's wrong, Ethan?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. He hesitated for a moment, gathering his thoughts. "Sarah, there's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice low. He proceeded to recount the story of meeting Lily, explaining the significance of the matching birthmarks and the unexplainable connection he felt towards her. He showed her his own birthmark, something he rarely did. Sarah listened intently, her eyes widening with each detail. When he finished, she remained silent for a moment, absorbing everything he had said. Then she spoke, her voice calm and reassuring. "Ethan, this is incredible." She could see the turmoil he was experiencing, but also the hope that flickered in his eyes. "You have to find out the truth." Sarah's encouragement was exactly what Ethan needed. He had been hesitant, unsure of where to start. The thought of digging into Lily's past felt intrusive, but he knew he couldn't ignore the pull he felt towards her. He needed to know the truth, not just for himself, but for Lily as well. "I don't even know where to begin," Ethan admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I can help with that," Sarah offered. "I know a private investigator who's discreet and reliable. He can look into Lily's background without raising any red flags." Ethan considered her suggestion. He wanted to be careful to protect Lily from any unnecessary stress or pain. But he also knew that time was of the essence. The longer he waited, the harder it might be to uncover the truth. "Okay," he said finally. "Let's do it. But I want to be involved every step of the way. I want to make sure Lily's well-being is the top priority." Sarah nodded in agreement. "Of course, Ethan. We'll handle this with the utmost care and sensitivity." She immediately contacted the investigator, explaining the situation and emphasizing the need for discretion. The wheels were now in motion. Ethan could only wait and hope that the truth, whatever it may be, would bring them closer, not tear them apart. The following weeks were filled with a mixture of hope and anxiety. Ethan continued to visit Lily, cherishing their time together while secretly wondering what the investigator would uncover. He tried to act normal, to not let his worries affect their relationship. He received regular updates from Sarah, who served as the liaison between him and the investigator, a man named Mr. Davies. Mr. Davies was thorough and meticulous, leaving no stone unturned. He interviewed people who worked at the orphanage, reviewed old records, and even searched for any news articles or police reports related to abandoned children in the area. The waiting was agonizing. Ethan found himself constantly checking his phone, hoping for news. He tossed and turned at night, unable to sleep, his mind racing with possibilities. What if Lily had family out there, waiting to be found? What if the truth was something he wasn't prepared to face? Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Sarah called him, her voice urgent. "Ethan, Mr. Davies has found something. He needs to meet with you as soon as possible." Ethan's heart leaped into his throat. The moment of truth had arrived. He braced himself for whatever was to come, knowing that his life and Lily's were about to change forever. Ethan met with Mr. Davies and Sarah in his office the next morning. Mr. Davies, a man with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor, laid out the facts. He explained that Lily had been found abandoned as a baby wrapped in a blanket near a park on the outskirts of town. The date of her abandonment matched her estimated birth date. "The location is significant, Mr. Hayes," Mr. Davies said, his voice grave. "It's very close to where you grew up." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. His childhood home. What could it mean? He pressed Mr. Davies for more information. "There were no identifying documents found with the baby," Mr. Davies continued. "But I did find a police report from that time. A local resident reported seeing a woman leaving a baby near the park late at night. The woman was never identified." Ethan's mind raced. He thought back to his childhood, to his parents. He remembered his mother being particularly stressed and withdrawn around that time. Could it be possible? The pieces started to fall into place, forming a picture he couldn't have imagined in his wildest dreams. The location, the timing, the birthmark. It all pointed to one shocking conclusion. But how could he be sure? He needed more information, more proof. The investigator's discovery left Ethan stunned. He needed to know more about his past. Ethan closed his eyes, and memories flooded back. He was a young boy living in a small, cramped house with his parents. They were always struggling to make ends meet. His father worked long hours at the factory, and his mother took on odd jobs to supplement their income. Money was always tight, and Ethan often went without new clothes or toys. He remembered his mother being particularly secretive and withdrawn for a few months. She seemed tired all the time and spent a lot of time in her room. He overheard his parents arguing in hushed tones, their voices filled with worry and desperation. He didn't understand what was happening at the time, but now, looking back, it all made sense. His mother had secretly given birth to twins. The revelation hit him like a ton of bricks. He remembered finding a small, knitted blanket hidden in his mother's closet. When he asked her about it, she had quickly dismissed it, saying it was an old blanket she had made years ago. Now he understood. It was for one of the twins. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, revealing a heartbreaking secret. His parents, struggling to provide for one child, had been faced with an impossible decision. They had chosen to give one of the twins up for adoption, hoping to provide her with a better life. It was a decision that had haunted them for years, a secret they had taken to their graves. He now understood his mother's sadness and his parents' hushed arguments. The reason for his parents' financial struggles was now clear. "So, you're saying that Lily is my sister?" Ethan asked, his voice barely a whisper. Mr. Davies nodded solemnly. "The evidence is compelling, Mr. Hayes. The location of her abandonment, the timing of her birth, and of course, the birthmark. It all points to the same conclusion. Lily is very likely your twin sister." Ethan was speechless. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He had spent his entire life feeling alone, unaware that he had a twin sister somewhere in the world. And now she was right here, right in front of him. The little girl with the moon on her wrist, the girl who had captured his heart, was his family. He looked at Sarah, his eyes filled with a mixture of shock and disbelief. Sarah reached out and squeezed his hand, offering him a reassuring smile. "It's okay, Ethan," she said softly. "It's a lot to take in, but it's also an incredible gift." Ethan knew she was right. This was a miracle, a second chance at family. He had been given the opportunity to reconnect with a part of himself he never knew existed. But he also felt a pang of sadness for his parents who had carried this secret for so long. He wished he could talk to them to understand their decision and to tell them that everything was going to be all right. But they were gone, and all he had left were memories and a newfound sister. A wave of emotions washed over Ethan. There was joy, of course, a profound sense of connection and belonging he had never experienced before. He finally understood why he had felt so drawn to Lily, why their bond had been so instant and so strong. It was because they were family, connected by blood and by a shared history. But there was also guilt, a deep-seated feeling that he had somehow failed Lily. He had lived a life of privilege and opportunity while she had grown up in an orphanage without a family to call her own. He wondered what her life would have been like if their parents hadn't been forced to make such a difficult decision. He also felt a surge of anger towards his parents for keeping the secret from him for so long. Why hadn't they told him? Why had they allowed him to grow up believing he was an only child? He knew they had their reasons, but it didn't make the pain any easier to bear. However, amidst all the conflicting emotions, one thing was clear: he had to do everything in his power to make up for lost time. He had to provide Lily with the love, support, and security she deserved. He had to become the brother she had always needed. He made a promise to himself and to his long-lost twin sister that he would never let her down. He was determined to make up for a lifetime of missed birthdays and shared memories. The weight of his loneliness lifted as the realization that he had found his twin sank in. He spent the next few days grappling with the revelation. The joy of finding his sister was undeniable, but the guilt and anger lingered, casting a shadow over his happiness. He found himself replaying his childhood memories, searching for clues he had missed, trying to understand his parents' actions. He confided in Sarah, who listened patiently and offered wise counsel. She reminded him that his parents had likely made the best decision they could, given their circumstances. She also encouraged him to focus on the present and the future rather than dwelling on the past. "You can't change what happened, Ethan," she said. "But you can make a difference in Lily's life now. You can give her the family she's always deserved." Ethan knew she was right. He couldn't let his guilt and anger consume him. He had to focus on Lily, on building a relationship with her, on creating a life filled with love and happiness. He also realized that he needed to be honest with her, to tell her the truth about their past. But how could he explain such a complex and painful story to a 7-year-old? He knew he had to tread carefully, to find a way to share the truth in a gentle and age-appropriate way. He thought about how to break the news to her, how to present the information to Lily. He decided to start with old photos. He carefully gathered the old photo albums from his attic, dusting off the covers and reminiscing about the memories they held. He selected a few photos that showed his parents when they were younger, happier. He also included a few pictures of himself as a child playing in the park near his home. When he visited Lily that afternoon, he brought the photo albums with him. "I wanted to show you something," he said, placing the albums on the table. "These are pictures of my family from a long time ago." Lily's eyes lit up. She loved looking at photos, especially old ones. She eagerly flipped through the pages, pointing at the faces and asking questions. "Who's this?" she asked, pointing at a picture of Ethan's mother. "That's my mom," Ethan replied, smiling. She was a very kind and loving person. He showed her pictures of his father, telling her stories about his childhood, about the games he played and the adventures he had. He wanted to create a connection between Lily and his family, to give her a sense of belonging. He then turned the page to a picture of himself as a baby. "Look," he said, pointing at his wrist. "Do you see that mark on my wrist? It's just like yours." He paused, taking a deep breath. "Lily," he said softly, "there's something I want to tell you about that mark." He knew he was taking a leap of faith, but he trusted that his connection with Lily would help her understand. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "Lily," he said gently, "do you know what it means to be a twin?" Lily shook her head. "No," she replied, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Well," Ethan explained, "sometimes when a mommy has a baby, she actually has two babies at the same time. Those babies are called twins. They look very similar, and they're very special to each other." He paused, searching for the right words. "Lily," he continued, I think we're twins." Lily's eyes widened even further. "Twins?" she repeated, her voice filled with wonder. Ethan nodded. "Yes," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I think we have the same mommy and daddy, and that means we're family." He pointed to the pictures of his parents. "These are our parents, Lily. They loved each other very much, and they loved me very much. And I know they would have loved you too." Lily reached out and touched the picture of Ethan's mother, her eyes filled with tears. "Our mommy," she whispered. Ethan nodded, tears streaming down his own face. "Yes, Lily," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "Our mommy." He reached out and hugged her tightly, feeling a connection he had never felt before. "We're family now, Lily. We're family." He showed her photos of his parents and told her about their family. Lily's face lit up with pure, unadulterated joy. A wide smile spread across her face, erasing any trace of sadness. "I have a brother?" she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I have a family?" Ethan nodded, his own heart swelling with happiness. "Yes, Lily," he said. "You have a brother, and you have a family. You have me." She threw her arms around him, hugging him tightly. "I always wanted a brother," she said, her voice muffled against his chest. "I always wanted a family." Ethan held her close, feeling a surge of protectiveness wash over him. He knew that he couldn't erase the pain of her past, but he could promise her a brighter future. He could give her the love and security she had always longed for. "I'm here now, Lily," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "And I'm never going to leave you." They spent the rest of the afternoon looking at the photos, Lily asking questions about their parents, about their childhood, about everything she had missed. Ethan answered her questions with patience and honesty, sharing stories and memories that brought them closer together. He could see the hope blossoming in her eyes, the promise of a new beginning. Lily was finally happy that she had a family and a brother. She couldn't wait to start their new life together. Ethan knew that they would make a great family together. Ethan knew that he couldn't leave Lily at the orphanage any longer. She was his family and she belonged with him. He immediately began the process of officially adopting her. He consulted with lawyers, filled out mountains of paperwork, and underwent a thorough background check. The process was long and arduous, but Ethan persevered, driven by his love for Lily and his determination to provide her with a stable and loving home. He wanted her to know that she was safe, that she was wanted, and that she would never have to worry about being alone again. Finally, after months of waiting, the adoption was finalized. Ethan was officially Lily's legal guardian, her brother, and her family. He celebrated the occasion with a small party at the orphanage, inviting all of Lily's friends and the staff who had cared for her over the years. He then brought Lily to his home, a spacious and luxurious apartment overlooking the city. He had transformed one of the rooms into a beautiful bedroom for her, filled with toys, books, and everything a little girl could ever want. But more importantly, he filled it with love, with the promise of a new beginning, and with the unwavering support of her brother, her family. Lily was finally home. Ethan was so happy that she was with him. He knew that they would have a great life together. With Lily now living with him, Ethan's life transformed completely. His apartment was no longer a sterile, empty space, but a warm and inviting home filled with laughter, music, and the colorful chaos of a 7-year-old's imagination. They established new routines, creating a rhythm to their days that brought them closer together. Ethan would help Lily with her homework, patiently explaining math problems and grammar rules. They would cook dinner together, Lily proudly stirring the sauce while Ethan chopped vegetables. They would read stories before bedtime, snuggling close and losing themselves in fantastical worlds. Ethan learned to embrace the messiness of life, to appreciate the simple joys of family. He discovered that his success as a CEO paled in comparison to the satisfaction of seeing Lily smile, of knowing that he was making a difference in her life. Lily, in turn, blossomed under Ethan's care. She became more confident, more outgoing, and more secure. She excelled in school, made new friends, and pursued her passion for art with renewed enthusiasm. She finally felt like she belonged, like she was a part of something bigger than herself. They found in each other the family they had always longed for. Their shared birthmark became a symbol of their unique bond, a reminder of the extraordinary circumstances that had brought them together. Their lives were now full, devoid of loneliness, filled with love and laughter. They became the family they had always dreamed of. Ethan's priorities shifted dramatically. While he still dedicated himself to his company, he no longer allowed work to consume his life. He realized that his success as a CEO was meaningless without someone to share it with, without a family to come home to. He started delegating more responsibilities to his team, trusting them to handle the day-to-day operations. He made sure to leave the office at a reasonable hour each day, eager to spend time with Lily. He attended her school plays, cheered her on at her soccer games, and helped her with her art projects. He learned the importance of being present, of truly listening to what Lily had to say, of valuing her opinions and her dreams. He realized that the greatest gift he could give her was his time, his attention, and his unconditional love. He also began to appreciate the simple things in life, the things he had once overlooked in his pursuit of success. A warm hug, a heartfelt conversation, a shared laugh. These were the things that truly mattered, the things that made life worth living. He realized that all the money in the world couldn't buy the happiness and fulfillment he found in being a brother to Lily. He learned that family and connection were more important than success. Ethan's understanding of life's true value changed forever. His perspective changed completely. Inspired by his own experience, Ethan decided to use his wealth and influence to help other orphaned children find loving homes and families. He established a foundation dedicated to supporting adoption agencies, providing resources for foster care programs, and raising awareness about the importance of giving children a second chance. He named the foundation Lily's Hope in honor of his sister and the extraordinary journey that had brought them together. He involved Lily in the foundation's activities, teaching her about philanthropy and the importance of giving back to the community. Together, they visited orphanages, organized fundraising events, and shared their story with the world, inspiring others to open their hearts and homes to children in need. Ethan's foundation quickly became a leading advocate for adoption, helping countless children find loving families and build brighter futures. He also used his platform to speak out against the stigma surrounding adoption, challenging societal norms and encouraging people to see adopted children as valued and cherished members of their families. Ethan was determined to make a difference, to ensure that every child had the opportunity to experience the love and security of a family. He knew that Lily's story was a testament to the power of connection and the importance of giving children a second chance at happiness. They both wanted to give back. Years later, Ethan and Lily stood side by side, celebrating their shared birthday. Their apartment was filled with laughter and music, surrounded by friends, family, and the staff from Lily's Hope. Lily, now a bright and confident teenager, blew out the candles on her cake, making a wish for all the children in the world to find loving homes. Ethan smiled, his heart overflowing with pride and gratitude. He looked at Lily, her eyes sparkling with happiness, and realized how far they had come. They had both overcome so much, faced so many challenges, but they had done it together. They had built a family, a life filled with love, laughter, and purpose. As he watched Lily dance with her friends, he couldn't help but feel a sense of peace and contentment. He had found his purpose in life, not in his success as a CEO, but in being a brother to Lily, in making a difference in the lives of others. He raised his glass in a toast, his voice filled with emotion. To Lily he said, "My sister, my family, my inspiration. May our lives always be filled with love and happiness." The room erupted in applause, celebrating the extraordinary bond between a brother and sister, a bond that had transformed their lives and inspired the world. They were finally a family surrounded by love and happiness. Ethan was no longer the lonely CEO but a loving brother.